For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability. And straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2 talents, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered, and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gathered where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it to him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
People have speculated about a question right from the dawn of Christianity. The question is this: when exactly will Jesus Christ return? The most important question is not when will Jesus return, but how do we prepare ourselves for his return? The parable of the talents gives us the blueprint to prepare ourselves. In the parable of the wise and foolish bridesmaids, Jesus instructed his disciples to be wise while they wait. In the parable of the talents, the focus shifts to working and toiling. While the master is away, the servant is called to work diligently and faithfully. The bridesmaids with the oil represented people with saving faith. The parable of the talents represents people with serving faith. Together, the 2 parables instruct us on our faith. God has given each one of us talents and gifts in proportion to our ability. When a talent goes waste, a person goes waste. There are examples of famous footballers turning to drinks, successful movie stars and singers turning to drugs, bright students falling into bad company. Antonio Stradivari was born in Cremona in Italy. He had a very high and squeaky voice. His friends made fun of him. He loved music and wanted to be a musician, but he couldn't develop this talent. The talent he had was wood carving. When Antonio was 22, he became an apprentice to a well-known violin maker, Nicholas Amati. Under his master's training, Antonio's knack for carving grew. His hobby became his craft. He started his own violin shop when he was 36. He worked patiently and faithfully. By the time he died at the age of 93, he had carved and assembled over 1,500 violins. Antonio Stradivari is widely considered as the greatest violin maker of all time. Classical Stradivarius violins are the most sought after and incredibly expensive violins in the world. The antique Stradivarius violins sell for as much as 16 million US dollars or 120 crore Indian rupees. Antonio Stradivari was not a singer, not a musician, not a teacher of music, yet he used his wood carving talent to make beautiful violins to mesmerize music lovers the world over. How many of us could say that we have used all our talents and developed our full potential as children of God? Some of us are good with the pen. Have we tried to create a public opinion and put pressure on those who create unjust situations? Some of us are good orators. Have we used our talent to spread positive and uplifting vibrations? Some of us are thinkers and painters and poets. Have we used our talents to bring joy to others? All of us have received the gift of listening. Can we spend some time listening with patience, empathy, and understanding to the grievances of the exploited? One of our greatest human needs is the need to express ourselves. Unless we express ourselves, we cannot realize ourselves. Sadly, a lot of talent goes unexpressed. Every talent has to be discovered. It is in living that we discover our talent. A lot of discipline, patience, and hard work are required if a talent has to bear full fruit. In the parable of the talents, it wasn't the harshness of the master that prevented the last servant from using his talent, nor was it lack of opportunity. The parable urges us to examine how we use the gifts of God. There are times we have wasted, underused, and even abused our God-given gifts. The river Jordan is the only major river in Israel. Towards the end of its course, the Jordan bifurcates into two branches. One branch flows into Lake Galilee. The other ends up in the Dead Sea. Lake Galilee has fresh and clean water with plenty of fish. The Dead Sea is highly polluted and lifeless. Even though it is the same river that flows into both these lakes, in one it is life-giving, in the other it is life-taking. The river Jordan is symbolic of God's blessings. It is our receptivity, our attitude, and our ability to respond to God's graces that makes the difference. We are reminded that at the end of our lives, we have to give an account to God. Jesus tells us that the willingness to dare is an essential part of our faith. The parable of the talents speaks to us about God, the giver of all gifts, who is ever generous with us. We cannot take God's gifts for granted. We have not earned the gifts. The gifts are given to be used to improve our lives and to be of better service to our fellow human beings and to glorify God. God has taken the risk of entrusting us with the precious gifts to enhance His kingdom on earth. We have the responsibility to God and for God. Our way of dealing with the gifts we have received will depend on how we perceive our God and relate to Him. If we truly love God, we will show our thanksgiving for the gifts received by the way we live our lives. If we live our lives out of fear and play it safe, we will never live life to the fullest. Every gift of God is also a mandate to bear fruit in God's vineyard. It doesn't matter how many talents we have, but how well we use them. When we invest in anything or anyone, we expect returns. Parents invest in their children and expect them to do well in their studies and in life. Business people take risks with stocks and shares and hope to make a good profit from the same. Generous individuals and institutions take calculated risks and invest in people and ventures and expect that their investments will be worth their efforts. Even God invests in us by giving us life and numerous blessings. Have we belied God's trust? We are called to live in the present, and the present is literally a gift. We live in a society where there is so much of fear, disunity, and injustice. All life is at risk. People who are afraid of taking chances do not win. Fear is not the mother of invention or discovery. Fear paralyzes action. What is our reaction and response? Do we continue living in our own little world? Do we try to change things for the better? We can live cautious lives waiting in fear for something to happen, or we can risk a life of faith, trust, and love. Our lives can be self-centered or God-centered. Let us ask God to make us aware of the various gifts He has bestowed on us. In fact, everything we have is a gift, and all that we are asked to do is to live in the present and use the gifts we have received wisely. We can't take credit for our talent. Life is God's gift to us. What we do with our life is our gift to God. Amen.